Alright, so a couple more papers up. I got Arches hot press and Canson Heritage hot press. So there's the Canson's Heritage. It's 140 pound hot press, 100% pure cotton. This is supposed to be better than the regular Canson that I've been using. Anyway. And then this is Arches hot press. It's 140 pound and 100% pure cotton. And neither of them say anything about sizing in them, but okay. So we have the Canson Heritage hot press, the Arches hot press, and the Strathmore Vision. I already did this, but unfortunately, when I got done and I went upstairs to check out everything that I'd done, turned out that there was nothing at all, or just a little bit of something left on the card. And so just so you know, the SD card can go bad in your camera and then it just stops recording stuff right. It's unpleasant to find out after you've done a lot of work. So I've been trying to get more experience with the hot press, and I must say that hot press seems to absorb faster, and I don't know if that's because of how it's made. See, it's made by rolling the paper between two metal drums, and when it does that, it creates a nice smooth surface. And for those that wonder why, like Twin Rocker, if you want one side hot press and one side cold press, they say you have to order in sets of two. That's because they'll put the two hot press sides together, or they'll put the two cold press, I don't know, they'll put the two sides together and then they roll the outsides with the drums, and that will give the two outsides be hot press and then the inside will be cold press. So, in case you were wondering, that's why. It's also why tinfoil is smooth and shiny on one side and not on the other. So, hold on. Okay, I'm back. Tried to switch over to a different chair that wasn't quite as squeaky, but now this one's so much lower, so we'll see how that goes. Back to the hot press. It doesn't give you as much leeway, and it really doesn't matter which hot press you're using. You have less time to fiddle with things. That's what I'm finding with it, and I think it's more just learning to control my water a bit better, and I think it's just going to force me to maybe work a little bit better, because I've been playing around with both the Canson Heritage hot press and the Arches hot press. I've been doing a couple things before I did all this. And let's see here. cat is chewing on my chair. What's up with that? Crazy kitty. So, in case you haven't watched the other videos, I'm trying to make sure that I use the same colors, or approximately the same colors and the same techniques in all of the videos, so that there's a consistency, and that way you can kind of get an idea how things are done. And I'm trying to consistently do the same type of work. So that, I mean, the pictures are the same, the colors are the same methodology is used. It's not perfect. You know, every time you do something, you do it a little bit different. And I'm not that perfect with stuff. I'd like to think I am, but I'm not. Anyway, I found that's not too bad as far as picking up. That could be because it was really wet when I did it. I probably should have made it a little less wet. Let's see here. I didn't have it was far from glistening. It was just soaked because I'm tired and I should probably be doing this at some other time. So I'm just gonna let that sit for a little bit and then I'll try it again. It's a really nice wash there. I mean, it's very smooth and consistent all the way across, and the gradient there turned out nice. It's not bad paper. I mean, it's not, I think it's more my technique needs to improve, and I have no problem admitting that my technique needs to improve. I've kind of, and see, here's the weird thing, like, you get this hot press paper and you get these little fiber duties, and I don't know what they're called, but they're little bits of fiber, and when it dries it goes away, and I wish I could tell you what that was or why that was. I mean, you can see that that area I just painted, it was already going over it. It was almost already dry, so I couldn't really do gradation into it. I mean, there is a bit, but it's not, it's much less forgiving. And yeah, see how this part had already dried enough that when I tried to grade into it, it just was like, nope. So, and you can actually watch it kind of start to dry on you. And I wonder if the hot press affects the gelatin within it. When you read your package and it says sizing, it's important for your paper to have sizing in it. And sizing is a gelatin that they put in to help it, basically help a bunch of cotton paper fibers to not act like a paper towel. And so it helps buoy the paint up to the surface so that it's not absorbed as fast. Anyway, let me see, is this going back over here? Yeah, this still does a nice, I mean, it's a little bit less, but it's still pretty nice. So back to the drawing. Sorry, Strathmore there. Anyway, it's based when they had parchment, which was made out of animal skins, and that's what they used to write on. Well, animal skins have a natural water repellent to them, as it were. And so when they went to making paper, they added the gelatin to help it repel and kind of let the ink sit on the surface a bit more. Interesting thing was, in my first video about this, that first paper that was just absolutely horrid, the Pro Art paper, it when I put it in the microscope, I couldn't find the purple particles from the paint to tell me where I had painted. I actually had to cut the paper in a way so that I could actually find where I was looking at in the scope. And I think that was because it was not sized, and so the paint particles were actually absorbing down into the paper, like deep inside the paper. And so that made it so that I couldn't find that marker to actually figure out where I was. But all the other papers I could find it because they were sized properly. And actually, if you look at the pictures in the video from the SEM, you'll see that in the stereoscope photos, you can see kind of a glimmer to some of the pictures, and that, I think, is the sizing is what you're seeing there. And that's why it's kind of gleaming like it's wet. It's not wet, it's just that there's this gelatin in it that's actually causing a reflection of the light. So I kind of put these videos together a little bit too fast, and I shouldn't have, but I've been trying to get them out. And when you try to do too much too fast, I'm trying to do this and finish my next book, it doesn't turn out so well. And that picked up pretty well, honestly. I mean, it's just that, as you can see here, you have to work faster and you have to use a bit more water when you do stuff, because as you can see here, this barely bled down because it was already dry. And actually, this is not the paper I need to have next. I need to have a different one, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back. And this is Canson's Milan de Rue. I'm not sure how to say it precisely, and quite frankly, I'm probably never going to get it right. I just accept that and move on. That's why I write instead of talking to people, because I can't necessarily communicate all that well. I don't know if that's an engineering problem, an artist's problem, a writer's problem, but it's my problem, so. Let's see. Let's see here. So if you guys have more suggestions of papers you would like me to look at, please let me know. I still plan to do the Heritage cold press just to see what that one's like. Just because I can, and it's been kind of fun checking out the different papers and finding different stuff in them. For those that watched my previous video about the Cansons and arches, and I put them in the SEM and found out there was diatoms in the arches. There are diatoms in the arches hot press. Interestingly, there are also diatoms in this one, the Canson Heritage. They had the diatoms as well, which that's the first time I found them in another person or another group's papers. Doop. Sorry, sound effects. I love wet and wet. It's so much fun. I think one of the reasons I fell in love with watercolor, I did oils for a long time and acrylics, and I never really got into watercolor until later on in life, because I found that I could do a layer and then walk away and work on something else, and it would be dry by the next day, and then I could keep working on it. Whereas oils, you know, I gotta wait a week before I can go back. And I also liked that it kind of forced me to not throw away my mistakes, but to actually try and incorporate them into the paintings, and let go a little bit. You know, not everything has to be perfect, and sometimes mistakes can be wonderful. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, trust me, and they've turned out pretty wonderful. You know, there are things that turned out horrible, and like, why would this ever happen to me? What did I do to deserve this? And then later on it turned out that there was a reason for it, and trust me, there's lots of stuff I still don't know what the reason is for it, but I firmly believe that if you just keep going on, there's a reason. Don't understand it, there's a reason. Sorry to get all philosophical. It's late. I should be drinking. But I don't really drink anymore. Not because I can't, but just because, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me anymore. But if you have papers, I think I already did this, find yourself repeating, just shut up. See how, interestingly, it's not too bad. Now, I had done this before, just throwing pens all over, and This time I used the Faber-Castell artist pen. The last time, when my camera didn't work, I used the Pentatalic and had done some drawings. And then when I went to paint over it, it had bled. Yeah, and it is. It's doing it again. Interesting. So I had rated this as bad paper because the ink had bled when I painted over it. But it's not doing it with the other ink pen. So it's a good thing I did this a second time, because otherwise I would have rated this paper really bad. Because I was really frustrated. It worked so nice, but then as soon as I hit this ink, and I had let it dry for quite some time, and it had bled after still drying. So there's the Pentatalic, which I like these pens. I like them a lot. Don't work well with this paper. They worked with all the other papers, and this is what I had used on all my other papers. I don't know why I didn't grab it. I have these in my hippo right here. Interesting. Just something about that ink just does not agree with this paper. Good to know. Hey, now I know I can use this paper. And it is a fairly smooth paper. It's a little rough, but not bad. I mean, it's a standard cold press, just like the Canson. It's not as rough as the Arches cold press, more like the Canson cold press. But it does quite nice stuff. This picked up well. This picked up well. I didn't do a good gradient here because it started to dry on me. I guess I didn't have it wet enough. But like I said, the hot press, you have to work faster, and you can get good results. I mean, these are beautiful. It just, you have to work faster, and I think you have to have more water than you do on the cold press. So that's something to keep in mind. And if you click on the video linked at the end, you can see the review of all the dried papers. I go through them all, and have a lovely day, and move on to the next set. Bye. So if you enjoyed my video, please go on Amazon and buy my book. I wrote and illustrated it. It's based on a semi-true tale of a little teddy bear that was found in Hiawatha National Forest. It's a cute story. It's a true story. Most of it's true. And it's a good way to get your kids interested in taking care of the earth. So like, subscribe, buy my book, and come back. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye.